Hey, what's happening everyone? Pragmatic Addict here. So, I just got out of seeing Alien Romulus. Now, this review is not coming from someone who knows all the lore, has seen the entire franchise. This is coming from someone who is a fan of that first Alien movie and has wanted for so long that true horror film sequel to the OG Alien. So guys, after a 10-year wait, after how polarizing of a return Alien Covenant was, is Alien Romulus finally that true horror sequel to Alien? Well, let's get into Alien Romulus. So this film does in fact take place between Alien and Aliens. Not only is this marketed as the next true, or the only true Alien horror sequel to that first film, but it is in fact a direct sequel to that first film. And the way that this film opens up, it opens up in such a fantastic way where it doesn't fully feel like the Alien sequel that came out today. It really does feel like it's made from someone who really is a fan of that first film, which earlier today before seeing the movie, Fede Alvarez was on Letterboxd for one of their videos talking about his 4 favorite films. Yeah, Ridley Scott's original Alien movie, it's in there. And you feel that. I mean, everything from like the small details to like the font to the score, which, I mean, the score in this movie is good, but it just feels like a score. And again, just like little details like the way that the credits like look when they come in, it doesn't feel like a movie with an $80 million budget coming out in 2024 would have. This feels like it's from a horror director, and not even horror necessarily up to this point, but just a director that, you know, is kind of old school, is obviously a fan of the older sci-fi classics. And something that I wasn't expecting to really like get into, or was really just like expecting in general, because I'm gonna be honest, I was like, I wonder if this is just gonna be that like fan, like to an extent, that fan service Alien horror sequel that obviously he and the world knows that we've been wanting for a long time, that things like, you know, Prometheus and Covenant were obviously not. I was like, I wonder if it's just gonna be that film, you know, where it's a new set of characters that aboard a ship, and sometime into the movie, eventually the xenomorph checks in and does its fucking thing. No, I mean, this isn't a huge thing as far as like character backgrounds. Again, like, this is after all just an Alien movie where, for the most part, yeah, we still just want to see the xenomorph do its thing and be that Alien horror film. It is that like 90-ish%. With the film obviously, you know, going to address some characters' backgrounds and everything, with this film being that futuristic setting that Alien is, seeing just enough, again, this is not a big deal, but just from what we see of it, that lifestyle and the actual nature of this setting, this film in a futuristic environment, it was so gorgeous to see that. Even, and again, this wasn't a big deal, but just to see how much thought they put into it when they were addressing it, which all they were was addressing it, just making it known, just letting people know where this film does in fact take place and where it's coming from. They went all out with that, and it was just something where attention to detail, it was just such a fantastic first act for this film. And going into the characters, so like I also said, you don't need to go full on with like the characters' backgrounds for a fucking movie where we're just admittedly seeing a xenomorph kill people off. That's why we bought the ticket. But for fans of still the Alien movie, especially with this film being a direct sequel to the first film, this does feel like it has these characters cut from the same cloth. We have our female protagonists, we have our androids. It feels like these characters are inspired by, and again, like I said, cut from the same cloth of that first film, where it's not copy and paste exactly, but it is a very genuine and very well attention to detail aspect that really does remind you and give you that sense of what the Alien movie, the original one, did as far as tone, as far as characters, just as far as overall layout. But once we start getting to see what kind of Alien universe or Alien franchise installment that this specific film is, the atmosphere, the tone, the ambience, this is something I wasn't expecting, but it is kind of something I understand. It wasn't something that blew me away in the sense where I was like, whoa, they did that! But it was something where I was like, I see it. You did good, Fede. Because I was also hearing that he is in fact a fan of the horror game Alien Isolation. And what I'm going to say is that the tone of this movie, the way that it's lit, how big the environment is, the corridors and the certain like layout of the ship and the look of it, this feels like if the original Alien was set on that specific ship with that atmosphere. This film, as the latest Alien installment, feels like it's half, like 50-50. It is inspired and built that direct sequel to the first Alien movie, but it takes, horror-wise, a lot of inspiration tonally and atmospherically from Alien Isolation, the video game, and I absolutely love that as a fan of that video game, which also, coincidentally enough, felt like the only horror sequel to the Alien movie at the time. But now we're gonna start getting into like the horror, the Alien movie, which I'm not gonna get into specifics either with this, but once the creatures do like make their appearance, not physically, but like once they start to get brought up and we start to see more of that actual Alien horror film sequel, the way that it's addressed, it doesn't come out in the sense where it's for fan service. Like, it doesn't come out with that bang all the time that you expect. And it's not made out in this big way where, you know, everything is a callback, everything is like a reference. But it's addressed in a way, and it comes into the picture where I would actually say, like, as a newcomer, I think that pace-wise, if you're not, like, familiar with the first film or, like, just, like, these films in general, a lot of things might come off, like, just a little bit lukewarm. It just kind of gets to the point. Because I'm gonna say, like, this film doesn't feed breadcrumbs, so for a fan of that first movie, this is gonna deliver, I think, a lot. But to newcomers, there are things where they're like, well, isn't that, like, what we were waiting for? Why isn't that, like, where's the hype? And what I'm going to say is that this feels like just the next chapter of Alien. And going even further with that, I wasn't sure, like, how much new this would bring to the table. I'm like, well, is everything here just going to be references and Easter eggs and just be more gory? But no, there were things in here where it really felt like a specifically the next chapter of that first film, because we see these characters trying certain things, for example, like to fend off from these creatures that would make sense at this specific timeline as far as like evolution. You know, this takes place a little bit further from the first film. These characters are a little bit newer, a little bit more evolved. Some time has gone on. Shit has obviously happened since the first movie, and I really liked that. But now I am gonna get into the xenomorphs. I'm not gonna get into how the xenomorph comes into the picture, but I will say this: easily the sickest, gnarliest, goriest, and personally my favorite character deaths of the entire franchise. Which I wasn't going to talk about the third act of this film, but I want to talk about it now, which is that I've been hearing very polarizing things about the third act, and I will say this: like the character deaths, it is the most sickest, but also most different and even most riskiest, not even climax, but just story point of probably the entire franchise that I've seen. And more importantly, as a direct follow-up to the first film, this taking place like where it takes place chronologically in the series, makes it even that much more riskier. But here's the thing, is that I found it fine. I see why it's polarizing. It's polarizing in the sense of where it's just totally different. It's pretty batshit as far as like what it really does. But again, it's not bad. It's just a little unhinged. You know what I mean? Also, this is going to be my final closing point. There is a scene in this movie where the acid really gets to come into the picture. Where I was like, okay, there's an upcoming Alien VR game coming out in December. That would be a hell of a level to incorporate. And overall, guys, yeah, this is the sickest, gnarliest, and riskiest Alien movie yet of the franchise. Especially for newcomers, this may just be a killer Alien movie, but for fans, well, it is that, but it's still enough to be the OG Alien horror follow-up that we've wanted. And I'm going to give Alien Romulus a positive review. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed my review of Alien Romulus. Definitely let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the movie in the comments below without any spoilers. And with all that being said, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.